Hi guys, today I'm going to be talking about what my favorite makeup brushes are. I don't buy new makeup brushes too often because the ones that I use are perfect. I don't really ever feel the need to go out and buy brand new brushes. One, because all the brushes that I own are really broken into. There is a huge difference between a brand new brush and a brush that you have been using for years and have broken into. Like when you buy a new pair of shoes, they're obviously more comfortable and wearable after you wear them several times than when you first put them on. Sometimes I will go out and buy a new brush. Say like one of my favorite YouTubers is highly recommending a brush, then I will typically be interested in purchasing said brush. Let's just move into what my favorite makeup brushes are. For my foundation, I really prefer using the IT Cosmetics Airbrush Buffing Foundation Brush. This brush is really soft, it's nice and big. I like that it's flat so that it covers more surface. I never have any issues with this brush causing streakiness in my foundation. I love how fast it blends everything out. It gets things done very quickly. It is great for full coverage foundation, sheer foundation. It's perfect. I really enjoy using it. It is pretty steep in price, so I will recommend the Morphe M441 brush. Here's their thickness compared to each other. So the Morphe brush is still very thick. It covers a lot of surface, and I also find that it blends it out very nicely. I don't like how short the handle is. I like that the handle is longer on the IT Cosmetics brush. Not sure how that affects application. Is it called a barrel? I just prefer the longer barrel on the IT Cosmetics brush, but this one, the Morphe one, gets the job done beautifully. I almost moved on to the other brushes before I started talking about sponges. I preferably use a brush to blend out my foundation. I just find that it's faster. I don't like sitting there pouncing a sponge into my face all over to get my foundation on. That's why I just prefer using a brush. However, I refuse to use a brush for concealer. I hate how, I don't know, I don't like it. I am obsessed with the Urban Decay sponge. They were selling it in a duo pack with the all-nighter spray, but those got pulled from the shelves. I guess Urban Decay just didn't want them on the floor anymore, so we had to send them back to Urban Decay basically. So they're not even being sold in stores, and it drives me freaking nuts because this is literally the best makeup sponge I've ever tried in my whole entire life. A sponge that you can get though is the Real Techniques complexion sponge. I like that one a lot, and I actually do prefer that one over the Beauty Blender. I don't find the Beauty Blender to be worth its $20 price tag. For powder, I don't have an all-over powder brush that I really like. Usually how I apply powder is I will use a sponge to bake, or I'll go in with one of these smaller brushes. I really like the Morphe M441 brush to kind of get really in there underneath my eyes and then just kind of get those focus areas. And then I really like the Morphe M500 or M50 brush. I'm not sure how Morphe would prefer me to name their brushes, but I like how fluffy this one is. I'll kind of just spin it around in whatever powder I'm using and quickly dust it all over my skin, just so I don't get a heavy layer of powder all over my skin. If I want more powder, that's when I go in with the sponge and I take either one of these brushes to kind of swipe away any of the bakage. But other than that, I really don't have a powder brush that I like to pack powder on all over the face. That's why I typically like to go with these two, especially this one, I would say, because I can get everywhere on my face very easily, very quickly, and with the perfect amount of powder. So no powder is sitting on my face and causing issues for me. It's just enough to set everything. For my bronzing and contouring, I actually have 3 brushes to share. Unfortunately, Morphe discontinued the Morphe Elite collection. They did a 60% off promotion on their entire Elite collection, and I picked up so many brushes from that. This was years ago. Thankfully, I got my hands on the Morphe E4 brush. The Elite 2 collection is basically the same thing as the original collection, just cosmetically different. So I'm pretty sure they would have an E4 in the second collection, but this one is perfect. I think it's just large enough. I love how it fits on my cheek. I love how it fits in any bronzer I put in. I love how fluffy it is, so everything always blends out perfectly. This one is just perfect. I love it, and I use this one for powder. If you watch my videos, especially videos where I'm applying cream products, you probably already know that I adore my Real Techniques sculpting brush. We don't sell this brush anymore individually at Ulta, maybe online, but not in stores, but I will link where you can get this down below. I'll try and link all these brushes down below so you can easily get them. Oh my goodness, like this is an impressive brush for cream contouring and bronzing. It fits perfectly in there. It is dense enough but fluffy enough to pick up that product and really like sculpt the face but blend it out at the same time, so there's no harsh lines. It's just perfect. I love this brush so much. I would be heartbroken if I lost it and I like couldn't replace it. Which I guess leads me to my next brush, which would be a close second of replacement, and this is the e.l.f. There's not even a name on it. It's 105. Samantha Ravindal has talked a few times in her videos about this brush. I typically don't buy new brushes unless someone is really highly recommending a brush. This brush is very nice. I really enjoy using it for cream contouring and bronzing. That's what she uses it for. She really likes it for her cream products. Like I said before about breaking in your brushes, I find that a lot of the brushes that I use for cream products do need a significant amount of breaking in time. I don't find that I needed to have a breaking in period for this one. Right off the bat, it applied my cream product really beautifully and felt very natural applying it as well, so I do really like that. So yeah, I like this brush a lot. If you happen to not be able to get your hands on the Real Techniques sculpting brush, I would recommend that you try and get your hands on this one from e.l.f. For my blush, for powder blush, I really like using the Real Techniques blush brush. I have a very old one. There's no way that I'm going to be throwing this one away to just buy a new one because I have this one broken in so nicely. I love how large it is. It is a really big brush. It fits perfectly on my cheek, so I just kind of swirl my brush into a blush and apply it, and there you have it. It's on there. It was quick, but I love that. I love the size of this brush especially. I also just find that Real Techniques brushes overall are such high quality. I have never in my entire time of owning a Real Techniques brush have had the bristles shed. And these brushes are so affordable, so I don't really know how Sam and Nick do it. This is another brush that you would have definitely seen me using if you are familiar with my videos and if you watch my videos where I'm using a lot of cream products. And this is the Real Techniques Duo Fiber Contouring Brush. The Real Techniques Duo Fiber Contouring Brush. But this is the most perfect brush for cream blushes. I like refuse to use anything else. It makes the application of any cream blush go on flawlessly, effortlessly. It lays down the product like no other. I can always count on this brush for a flawless application. I also like that it doesn't lift up any foundation underneath when applying a cream blush. I also way prefer using this brush over my fingers. I find that sometimes the fingers warm up the product too much, and then when you're applying it over foundation, it just mixes in with the foundation, and then you get product all over your hands, and then like you'll end up missing a spot. I don't know, this one is just perfect and I love it. For my highlight, I only really use the Morphe M441 brush, and that's just this small, fluffy brush, perfect for highlighting. I like that it's small enough to highlight this area and also like hit my brow bone a little bit, the nose. It's pretty much second nature to me to use this brush. I also like how it picks up the highlight. It picks up a generous amount of highlight and distributes it very evenly across the skin. I've never really been into using fan brushes for my highlight. I don't know, I feel like there's room for error with it being so thin and small. And then I did used to use the Real Techniques setting brush, like the very small one. I did used to use that one for highlight, but when I had used that one, I really risked the chances of me getting that very like stripy highlight. With this one, it just blends it out very nicely, like you see. For my eyebrows, when I'm using a pomade or for when I'm using powder, I love the Anastasia eyebrow brush, the number 12 one. This one, the actual brush part is so small, and I like that it's duo-ended with the spoolie on the end. Other duo-ended eyebrow brushes I feel like aren't as thoughtful. Like, for example, I know it's like a really cheap option, but e.l.f., they do have a duo-ended eyebrow brush, but the actual angled brush part is like very thick, and I don't want to use a thick angled brush in my brows. I don't ever want that for anybody. And I find that to be the case with a lot of duo-ended eyebrow brushes. This one is just perfect. It is very, very tiny. It can get in like any little section, create any little line you want. It's perfect. And I'll even let you in on a little secret. The girl that works at the Benefit Brow Bar, they have a whole line of their own eyebrow tools and products. And the girl that literally works for Benefit at the brow bar at my work, she uses the Anastasia eyebrow brush. And of course she's using Benefit products. Benefit puts out some really incredible eyebrow products, but she prefers the eyebrow brush from Anastasia over the one that Benefit sells, just because it's true, this brush is perfect. I'm heading into eyes. For the most part, these are also almost all Morphe brushes. I think that Morphe puts out some really nice high quality brushes at a very affordable price, and they are also really easy to get since you can get them at Ulta. I really like the Morphe M441 brush. It is this really nice fluffy crease brush, and I own 10 of these. I don't know why I feel the need to own 10 of these, but like if I ever get new eye brushes from Morphe, I always end up just picking up one of these as well. It just fits like really perfectly in the eyes. I use this one literally every day to apply like my bronzer all over my eyelid. I think it's a perfect fluffy crease brush. I also feel like if you wanted to own just one crease brush, it would be this one. But if you are interested in doing more detail crease work, I really like the Morphe M514 brush. It's just a little bit smaller than the other brush that I had just showed. It's still very fluffy, but it's great for getting like really in there in the crease while still having a very blended look. But if you want something like super concentrated while still looking blended, but like a much more heavier deposit of color, I would say, the Morphe M562 brush is really nice. See how like tiny that little brush is, but it's still like a bit fluffy. I like this one a lot. I should have probably thrown this brush in while I was talking about my eyebrows, but I like the Morphe M441 brush. It's just this like flat, very flat, tiny brush. I love it for getting concealer laid down underneath my brows and over top of them, just to kind of sculpt them out and clean them up a little bit. And I also like this brush for when I'm doing cut creases. Another brush that I will use for cut creases, I kind of alternate between the two, but I do really like the Morphe M124 brush. Compared to the one that I just showed, I would prefer using this one for any actual like eyeshadow applying. Whereas this one I just feel is like too tiny, like a little bit too dense. This one is still pretty dense. It's not like my preferred method for powder eyeshadow application, but I don't mind using it. I do find myself using it quite often to apply actual eyeshadow. But same as this one, I do again use it for cut creases and to kind of clean up my brows a little bit. For eyeshadow, I think you're gonna find this to be really funny, but I really like this Coastal Scents brush. This one right here. It's like the perfect little shape. I'm going to try and find it and link it down below. The name doesn't really exist. It's so nice and soft. I think it's like the perfect shape for laying down eyeshadow all over the crease. It does a really good job at doing it. I actually own a lot of Coastal Scents brushes. I used to buy them a lot back in the day before like Morphe even existed. And the brushes hold up really nicely. I used to buy them a lot when they would do like 50% off the whole site, which was like pretty often. I don't really know much about Coastal Scents anymore. They might not do that anymore. I have no clue, but I will try and find this brush and link it down below for you guys. I'm totally aware that you can't just buy this brush. This was a gift with purchase when you bought like a Super Shock shadow from Colourpop, and it's this fluffy brush right here. It's the most perfect brush for applying any sort of cream eyeshadow. I like that it's flat and dense so you can get a nice like coverage of your cream shadow, but fluffy enough so that it looks nice and blended and seamless all over the lid. Last two brushes are just small detailing brushes. Not really much to say about these two. I like the Morphe M441 brush, which is just this little like pencil detailing brush. I just like this one for applying any product underneath my lower lash line, smudging out the lash line, or applying anything in the inner corner. So I like that one a lot. And then I also like another Coastal Scents brush, but this one is just kind of like a very, very small eyeshadow brush. It's like flat and tiny and rounded, but I especially like that for hitting the inner corner and the brow bone. That is all the brushes for you. Here they are, all in this little cup. This cup is from IKEA. I'm sure you've seen it before. I'm not very original. I think Jaclyn Hill said it best a few years ago when she made her favorite makeup brush video, like years ago, when her and John were still together and before the lipstick fiasco, and I'm pretty sure before she moved. But she basically said that if she had to save anything in her makeup collection, it would be her makeup brushes. They are irreplaceable, and I believe that. The eye brushes, not so much, but like the face brushes, the brushes that I have taken time to really work in and break in, it is irreplaceable. Like the amount of time that I had to put in to like break these brushes in and really get them to be like perfect, I wouldn't want to have to redo that. But that is it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to be notified whenever I post a new video, and hopefully I see you next time.